local food, recycling, immigration, LGBTQ history, Indigenous Americans and how they're misrepresented in mascots. Our teachers are preparing our students, facilitating our students to critically think about our world, their world, before they have to go into it and make it better than they found it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening. My name is Kate Lohmeyer, and I'm the health and physical education teacher at both McKinney Middle and Yellow Springs High School. First, I would like to directly address the board and publicly acknowledge and thank you for your civic engagement. Thank you for your continued support of the students, staff, and administration that occupy our district buildings. I would also like to publicly thank Mr. Basora for impacting my career and providing multiple pathways toward expanding my practice. Providing empowerment by advancing my knowledge has changed who I am as an educator. My eyes are open and my heart is full. As an empowered and innovative educator, I continually strive to be an agent of change for both my students and my colleagues. Today I stand before you as an agent for change, but not completely on my own accord. I am here tonight to speak on behalf of my high school health students. Last month, Gloria Sparrow-Knapp and I collaborated to attempt a bold curricular risk. Inspired by a performance of Girls Like That, guided by the work of Augusto Boal, Gloria and I challenged students to think about incremental change in school society. Our students have a lot to say about their experiences in school, and as Gloria and I learned, are willing to courageously and purposefully perform, analyze, and discuss their said experiences. Facing a change in direction with our intended product or outcome, I encouraged our students to continue courageous conversations about their school community in their school community. One student reminded the group that Girls Like That was performed for British Parliament in efforts to create systemic change. Why can't we? Encouraged, the students began talking. Sitting beside them through this process, I learned an immense amount about what they crave. Our students see merit in the active exploration of their community, nation, and world. They see those spaces as their classrooms and hope to see more opportunity for all students in the future. Digging deeper into the dilemma of homework and stress, students researched guidelines proposed by the NEA. With this information, students discussed the how and why of homework and wondered if there was a better way to practice, enrich, and intervene. On the topic of PBL, they see a need for reflection and refinement. Through their eyes, projects that empower our students to learn through service yield the most impactful learning of all. Our students feel the crushing weight of yet another number or letter defining their academic achievement. They are ready to explore and pilot different forms of assessment. They also feel ready to incorporate more social, emotional, and self-reflective growth in their educational practice. I am impressed by their courage and inspired by their vision. Through this project experience, I have become their product. I promise to speak here tonight and advocate on their behalf. As an educator here, I know their voices are important and valued in this community. Our students are innovative, creative, and empowering. Serving the students of this community is my job. Advocating on their behalf is an honor. I plan to continue to advocate with them through conversations with colleagues, administration, the Board of Education, and community members. The future of public education is awake and alive in Yellow Springs schools. My students and I look forward to future collaboration in the evolution of this district. Thank you.
Kate,
Yeah.
I noticed that you have that written out
Yes.
already. Would you be willing to submit that as a formal board communication so that we can have that for
Yes.
the record?
Absolutely.
That would be really wonderful.
Yes, and how should I submit that?
I guess it goes to Stephanie.
Just give it to you?
Yeah, or,
Email.
Digitally, email?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
That would
All
be
right.
great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board at this time? Mushroom people don't need to stay around. So, thank you again. Thanks, Kate. Okay, well, hearing no one else, then I'm going to move to item 2.3, our schools in action. And now we're going to hear from some fourth graders. All right, where'd they go? They're coming. Okay. Oh, it's a great procession.
1,199, 2,398, 3,597,
4,746. 5,995.
7,194, 8,393, 9,592, 10,791, 11,990, 12,189, 14,388, 786. 15,587. 17,985. 19,184. 20,383. 21,582. Hi, I'm Elena Gilly. This stack of boxes represents the amount of plastic spoons and plastic forks MLS uses in 1 year. 21,582. This stack of boxes is taller than I am. So hey, instead of filling up the landfill with plastic, could we just wash those spoons? Dear Board of Education, I'm Vivian Gershon. Thank you for allowing Mrs. Jurgen's 4th grade class to hopefully convince you to buy metal flatware for the middle school cafeteria. We think that buying metal flatware is better because it saves the world and saves money. Dear Board of Education, I am Lily Claire Golub. Thank you for allowing Mrs. Jurgen's 4th grade class to come and hopefully convince you to release money to buy metal flatware instead of plastic flatware. Vivian, Austin, Sewell, and I wrote this song, Plastic Wrap, to convince you, and your Mrs. Jurgen's 4th grade is performing it tonight. We hope you enjoy it. Plastic waste is all around. Plastic, it is littering the ground. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. In the underwater world, there is plastic by the ton. And if by 2040 something is not done, then underwater there will be more plastic than fish, floating around the ocean with the swish. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. And everywhere millions of marine animals die, making it harder for ocean life to get by. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. Since invention, 1855, plastic has become a big part of our lives. Plastic was not widely used until the 1950s. We do not always do the responsibility. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. Every month we use 3,000 pieces of plasticware. Metal is so much better for the earth that we share. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. Plastic in the ocean, plastic on the ground. Plastic litter filling this world all around. Thank you for listening. And up next, the final piece of our presentation is Wyatt Fagan and Mateo Basora with the cost analysis. Take it back. Thank you for your time. Hello, I'm Mateo Basora. And I'm Wyatt Fagan. Today we are doing a cost analysis on how we should buy metal flatware instead of plastic. Every year the school spends $990.72 on plastic flatware. Instead, we should spend $203.32 on metal. You would save $787.40. That's a lot. Metal spoons don't release toxins into your food, unlike plastic. It releases toxins when it gets heated up. Every 10 days, the school throws away 1,199 pieces of plastic utensils. That's a lot. If you want to save the earth and our schools using plastic, then you should buy metal utensils. Remember, save big money at Mills One.
Thank you.
how this project happened and the process that got you up to this point.
Well, we started out by studying plastic and what effects it has on the environment. And then we broke into 5 groups, and each group came up with a presentation, and only a limited amount of time convinced us to combine all the groups into one big group with this performance.
How did you come up with these numbers?
Well, we researched it and found the cost for a dozen dinner forks and teaspoons for metal, and we found out how much plasticware costs every month, and we did the calculations to figure out how much it costs per year and how much we would save.
And how do we collect the flatware? Do you remember?
Yeah, we put out plastic tubs in the cafeteria to collect, and we had students put their plastic flatware in tubs and stuff.
I was worried you were digging through the garbage. Nasty. Other questions, or?
How did you decide on the lyrics for the song?
Does anybody else want to help with the lyrics? How did we come up with all the lyrics? Because we actually had 5 raps.
Go ahead.
Well, we did a lot of research and read a lot of things that we read about like plastic, especially like the environment. And like some groups decided to go to the lab and like how why we can use metal instead of important.
Can somebody talk about what we found with the animals and what was happening?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
We were mistaken for the plastic.
Who was?
Animals.
Oh.
And the ocean.
Okay.
Can you talk about 4Ocean too?
So for ocean, it is this company, but they are taking plastic out of the ocean, 1 pound at a time, and making it into bracelets.
And what are they doing with the money that they make from bracelets?
They are using it to buy equipment for getting the plastic out of the ocean.
Well, so I love it that you brought this in front of the board so that we can perhaps make a decision that can help the immediate school and stuff, but does this feel like it's made some impact on how you interact with plastic and what you think about plastic in your homes and in your day-to-day life now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Give me an example of that.
Anybody
Anybody?
tell their parents anything about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been using the plastic since then.
You have not?
Okay. Charlie, talk about the way you pack your lunch.
I don't pack my own lunch, but I didn't mention this on there, but I would kind of like to use less plastic, so sometimes I use some small baggies for Cheez-Its and stuff.
Cool. Wow. Nice. Good.
This is great.
Thank you. Jeez.
And I do want to say, I think that the board would be very serious about taking up this suggestion, and so we'll work on that and let you know what we come up with. So thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm just curious if you wanted to evaluate the other impacts from switching from plastic to silverware, like, how do you clean the silverware?
Did it create a job?
We heard that they have a huge dishwasher in the cafeteria, so yeah, we could use that. So yeah, there were ways to use that.
I'm wondering about water consumption. I mean, you guys talk about that. Did you look at that at all as part of this process?
We did, but what's the different water consumption? Yes, but what happens if it's all plastic? What doesn't happen with plastic?
Plastic is not very great.
Yeah.
Good try.
As we know, water keeps coming down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go out there and wash some silverware. Was there anything really hard about this project, or something that was frustrating when you guys were in the middle of it? Yeah.
I got, yeah, sometimes my group is goofing off a bit.
Sometimes my group does too.
My group, we had a bit of trouble coming up with a starter idea. Once we did,
And then once you did it, it sort of,
it started coming.
nice,
It started falling off again.
Nice.
yeah. Did you have something to say? Yeah.
I was gonna say, we started with, well, our group started with a totally different thing, and then, later on we like came with the rap, and, I think we only had like a couple days left, so, like around a couple weeks. So we didn't get it really finished in time, and then it was too long. So we
Yes,
had
you
to
had it.
take another beat, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. Right, right.
Something totally different.
Well, that's great. I mean, that you have a process and then you change directions when you need to. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Ms. Jurgens, I will follow up with your class maybe next week or something, we can talk more about this.
Great, and there was a double rainbow tonight, so that should add to.
Yes, thank you, fourth graders. Principal House will take care of those boxes.
Can you guys talk? Really project? Because I have no audio
Okay.
or video.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. Okay, well, that was terrific. So we'll let folks clear out, and again, thank you so much for coming. And we'll move to item 2.4. The board has engaged K-12 Business Consulting to help facilitate our superintendent process, the search process for the new superintendent. And they have very graciously agreed to come this evening to make a brief presentation for the board and in public about what's going to happen next. So I don't know if you both want to come up or if one of you is going to come up, but by all means.
Well, first of all, it's not fair that we have to
No, that's
follow
true.
the board
It's true.
with this presentation. And secondly, Carrie Jurgens was a teacher at the school district where I was a school superintendent. So I know how fortunate you are to have her educating your children. She is a quality educator, so.
And I just realized something the other day. I was here 2 days ago and I met Aida and Steve for the first time. I realized today, I was here 25 years ago with my 6th grade daughter at Camp Glen Helen. And I think I had to spend the night. I was sitting out there with a whole bunch of boys, 6th grade boys, you know. I
Well,
do remember that.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. We're only going to take a few minutes of time, but hiring your next superintendent is a very important decision for the Board of Education. K-12 Business Consulting has been working on this process since about 2001. We have done multiple superintendent searches, and one of the things that makes our company a little different is that we feel like we need to assign 2 consultants to every search so that you are always in connection with your consultants and you have double the amount of people looking for the right fit for you. We think our people make the difference. I have been assigned to the search as the search lead. I have over 41 years in education. I won't tell you how many over 41. And I was a 1st and 2nd grade teacher, a curriculum consultant, an assistant superintendent, and then I was a superintendent at Clark Shawnee Local, which is not too far from you guys, for 8 years. And I was also the past president of the Buckeye Association of School Administrators, which is the professional organization for the superintendents. And I'm the former co-director of member development for Buckeye Association. So I was able to provide professional development for all the superintendents in the state. So I have a great network. I'm networked statewide. So when I call a superintendent, and I've called Mario several times to try to lure him away from you, and he told me no, but he will take my phone call. And that's important when you're doing a superintendent search, that you actually get to talk to the people who can make a difference with kids, and that's your superintendent. Dennis Leone is here with me this evening. He also has over 41 years of experience. He was a superintendent for 23 years. He's had a lot more experience than me. His last superintendent position was at Chillicothe City Schools. He was an assistant superintendent. He's been a professor of administrative licensure for superintendents at Ashland University. He's a former STRS board member. He understands the system from that side. He was one of the watchdogs that kind of brought them back into compliance on a few things. And he's also networked statewide. Kathy Lowry may be helping us with the search. She is also a former superintendent. She was at Granville Exempted Village in the Columbus area. She was assistant superintendent, and I had the pleasure of job sharing with Kathy at the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. So she has that network statewide also, and we feel that's important. We think our people are good for you. We're going to try to get you the best superintendent we can. We know they have big shoes to fill, but we're going to work on that. Our group feels like we give you some things that other search firms don't give boards of education who are looking for a superintendent. We will have a community input at the very beginning of this process. So we will have groups of students, groups of staff members, groups of community members, parents, civic leaders that talk to us about what's good about your school district, what are some of the challenges of your school district, and what are you guys looking for in that next superintendent. And then we will do a report for the board. So about a 13-page report. This is a document that we will use to collect that information. It'll be online on your website so that anyone can contribute information to us. All this will be tallied and put into the report. It will also be available at all of the focus group meetings. And Dennis is going to talk about when we do those.
I just thought I'd mention it also will assist the board in knowing what the best questions are to ask of candidates. The candidates themselves will study this 10-page report that we compile of all the common themes that we hear from the subgroups and overall. So it's a very valuable document, and the board will utilize it in many different ways.
So in the package that the board has chosen to buy from K-12, there is a component that the community, the staff, will all meet the finalists. So you will have a component where we will have a meet the finalists. We will be working with the board to structure that, what that looks like. We understand that you just did a search for a high school principal. You had some components in it that the community liked. We're going to see how many of those we can wrap into this process for your superintendent. We also advise the board on wages and benefits for the new applicant. Sometimes applicants or candidates want something the board's not willing to give, or the board wants something the applicant's not willing to do. And we act as that intermediary. Other search firms don't do that. We want to make sure that when that superintendent starts, the board, the superintendent, the community, the staff all have a great working relationship from the very beginning. There were 3 levels of searches, and your Board of Education chose the silver level, and we recommend that level to a district this size. So they were very gracious. Even though there was a level that wasn't as expensive, that level did not mold in as much community engagement, and this board wanted that community engagement piece. So we're very pleased that they chose that level of engagement for us. Dennis is going to show you just a tentative timeline of how we think the search will play out, so we know when you can hire your new superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. I think it's proper for me to share with you as well that we will be working very closely with the county superintendent here, Terry Streeter, which a number of you know. In fact, she is helping contribute financially for the board to have this search being done, which is a very nice thing for her to do. We've also, I thought I would mention, we've done a number of searches in this area, which has helped us, including Beaver Creek, including Bellbrook. We've done other districts nearby, Greenan, Ben Logan Local, we did Fairborn City. So we've done a number of districts in this area, and we feel we have a lot of contacts in this area. This process is going to move quickly. You see here, we're announcing here tonight the organizational plans, but we'll be posting positions statewide on March 20th, and that will include in publications that we know administrators read, and they can find out where these openings are statewide. We'll have stakeholder meetings identified as that Debbie was speaking to pretty much the entire day on April 3rd. We'll start off with different groups and end with an open community forum that people can come to. Well, also, we value meeting with about 20, 25 high school students that provide input into the process. It's very valuable input, focus group sessions that we call them. The search deadline will be for people to submit applications for the profile, the document, I'm sorry, this document that we mentioned, we're asking that people get this turned in by April 5th. And then we will compile our 10-page report that summarizes what people said here, as well as what we heard in the focus group sessions. That will all become part of one single report. Okay, the application deadline, where I thought it was, is April 23rd. We will present candidates to the board.
Actually, we changed that date tonight.
April 29th is when we will present candidates to the board for their consideration. First round interviews will be held on May 6th and May 8th.
We also
So
changed that date, sorry.
And that will probably be 6 or 7, maybe 8 at the most, candidates that picked by the board. There'll be some in there that we recommended, but that we felt were the best fit. But ultimately, the board's going to be making a decision that they feel is the best fit. Second round interviews, final interviews, will be occurring on the 13th of May.
And that's where we will weave in that community piece to meet the finalists.
Correct. The way we normally do that, if the board is going to see somebody at 7 o'clock, there'll be a meeting at 6 o'clock for the open session of community people to ask questions and to fill out a form that we have, that the board will read in terms of what people will say about the candidates they saw themselves. So that'll be 2 or 3 people on the 13th. We would hope that evening the board would be able to lock into somebody, and we could enter into negotiations with that person for an employment contract, and we'll shoot for a hiring on the 16th of May, which I believe is that a regular board meeting night? I think
No, it's not.
It'll be a special board meeting. So a lot of these dates are special meetings, and we realize that. So that's pretty much it. The superintendent would start on August 1st, except that we'll be recommending that the board award what we call a consulting contract to the new superintendent for a certain number of days to be able, that person to be able to get into the district and meet people. And the way they do that is that normally they'll take a vacation day where they currently are on, and they'll come over to this district and spend a day meeting with the treasurer and talking with other administrators and that type of thing. It's very, very valuable to give a new superintendent a consulting contract to get in here early, and that's what we're shooting for. Any questions about any of this at all?
This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you again for coming. I also just want to, we've talked about this as well. I guess it's fair to say that this process officially launched today.
Yes.
And so we are off and running. In the next very short term, Susan, Griffith, and Stephanie will be building a space on the district website where all of this material will be behind a single button. It isn't there yet, obviously, but it will be there shortly, and so all of this stuff as it accumulates will be there for anybody who wants to click on the button and find it. And thank you again for coming to present, and I hope you learned a little bit more about
We
mushrooms.
did, yes. And I will say that we conduct a very open and transparent search. So everything every report we write will be on that website. That profile will be there for the community and the staff to see. So we thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're honored to get to work with you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So I guess I just want to add that I did some reference checking earlier, at the end of last week and early part of this week. I spoke to Springboro, Springfield Schools, Beaver Creek, I talked to Terry, talked to Lenore School, which I'm not remembering now, and everybody talked about what an incredible process tends towards being very, very satisfied with their participation with K-12. And so it was, everybody was gushing over this term. I mean, it was really something.
Yep, thank you.
So,
Yeah, we thank you that you said that in open session, thanks. And we didn't even pay you. You're paying us.
But we paid those people $50.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was nice meeting all of you.
thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, so I want to move now to our agenda item 2.5, administrative reports, and it looks to me like Principal House is up first.
Good evening. So obviously you saw, they pulled me into the performance, that was not planned, and that was awesome, and yeah, I just love it. I mean, both of those presentations, I think just show you, you know, the passion of the teachers and students coming through, and you know, the students want to be here. I mean, they want to show their work to the board and the community, so it's just really awesome. So I love that. You know, we have some Mills Lawn speakers who went to the state tournament just this past weekend, and you know, they did wonderful. I mean, they 14th place, 13th place, and then Peyton Horton got 3rd in the state. You know, for her declamation speech, and she's a 6th grader. We're talking about 6th, 7th, and 8th graders across the entire state of Ohio. She got 3rd place. So, and I don't know if didn't she come?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
She told you a little bit about her
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So that's really special, and
Yeah.
it's just awesome. So,
Yeah.
you know, speech and debate is powerful, and I think we've all learned, you know, the power of that, and excited to move on with that. Mikasa received, and her 1st grade students from last year received that first ever Wheeling Gaunt Community Service Award. So Mario and I were at that presentation, and that was just really awesome to see Mikasa receive an award like that, and her students. But you know, Mikasa is just the hardest working educator in Yellow Springs, and just she's so good. She's a master teacher. She's amazing. So I love seeing her get those accolades. And then, you know, we're just coming off of our Black History Month. Tons of activities, tons of focus every day on the morning news. We had probably one of the best assemblies we've ever had, which is saying something, because we have some awesome assemblies here that are great and filled with content. But this, it was really impressive, and there was a piece that the 6th graders did that was just amazing. So like student-led, really meeting with passions. We had a group of teachers that worked through a couple of months to plan the whole the assembly as well as the month-long event. So it's just we're working really hard right now, driving towards spring break. We've got parent-teacher conferences next week. We've got grade cards due. There's just a lot of work, but we're kind of entering a part of the year where we're seeing all these accomplishments and things come together. So we're in a good place right now.
Thank you.
Both groups were wonderful. So
Yeah.
please, again, pass the board's appreciation on the two teachers involved. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
All right, we've had a lot going on as well. I should have mentioned Galen. I did not mention Galen in my report. He is, our high school team for speech and debate is small, and Galen has just really taken off with it and did great at state as well. I want to say he placed 5th, if I remember correctly. 6th, I think it was. 6th, Right okay. there, yeah. But just making state's quite an accomplishment, so I want to recognize him. This year our Gender and Sexuality Alliance, our GSA, did something different. We've hosted a dance, I think, the last couple of years, and our GSA this year determined the goal of trying to coordinate more of a regional GSA instead of just a local GSA. So this year when they held their dance, they actually held it with the GSAs from Xenia, Bellbrook, Fairborn, and Springfield. So that's a really cool event to start networking and just kind of broadening what our students are doing and seeing what other students are doing and kind of establishing that partnership with other schools. So we had that. It was supported by Wins Cafe and Ha-Ha's, and it sounds like it was a great time, about 75 students, and at the end of the night, the overwhelming feeling was that it needs to be an annual event. So that was great to see kind of that growth in one of our extracurriculars or one of our groups. our Power of the Pen, really of late, when she was here, she just built an amazing program with Power of the Pen. And since her retirement, she's continued to come back and support our students with that. And then with Jamie Adolph, he's now the official coach. Just an amazing leader of that group. And to see our young students come in and engage in a very educational extracurricular is really exciting. So this year we had 5 students qualify for the Western District Tournament. Unfortunately, one was unable to attend because of another conflict, and then one was actually sick and couldn't go. But our students went there and did very well. Olive Cooper, who I believe won the tournament before, she had 2 best of rounds out of the 3 rounds, and then Sylvia Corson, I think, placed 2nd overall in the Western District Tournament. So it's just really cool to see our kids, and it's a testament to the work that our kids are doing in elementary school and learning those skills, writing, and then coming up and being so successful in middle school. And when you watch a Power of the Pen practice, it's powerful to see a piece of writing that I think is so well done, and then to just hear Mr. Adolph and Miss Blake just pick it apart and try to really challenge the traditional conventions of writing and trying to have our kids take it, not just be good, but to really be great and take it to another level. So congratulations to all of those students. The state tournament is on May 24th, so I think 2 of those students are going to be going on and competing in the state tournament. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the Black History Month celebration. So our United Student Society that Mr. Adolph has been heading up the last couple of years. Each year in February they put on a Black History Month assembly. This year was the first time the assembly was 100% student-led. So as the building principal, I stepped out, Mr. Adolph stepped back, and he really allowed the kids to talk about what they wanted to incorporate, to celebrate, and it was really cool. Bill Randolph came in and gave a speech similar to the Martin Luther King event speech that he gave down at the Bryan Center about staying woke. We had a lot of students come up and actually present work that they've done throughout the school year. So when you start thinking about the amount of project work that our kids are doing around culture and cultural competence is really powerful. And then to see our students go up there and students who I saw as 7th graders that were just scared to speak in front of a class of 20, stand up in front of the stage in front of 350 students and just deliver a message. It's just to see their passion and how well they delivered and their composure was really powerful. We had a dance crew exclusive, came in from Springfield. There were three gentlemen who came in and did like hip hop dancing, and they actually pulled students in and pulled some teachers in. So it was really a really fun vibe and fun energy. And then Eastside came in with the Village Fam and did a concert for our students, turned off the lights, and we had the fire going in the background. And it was just, it was really, we did it on the
all
Friday.
within code. All within code.
It was a digital fire. It wasn't a real fire.
That would be pretty cool.
Yes. But it was just a really cool way to leave, heading into Martin Luther King weekends, and just a fun celebration as a whole. So the last thing I put up here is actually fake news now. The Sound of Music does not open tonight, so because of the illness, we initially canceled the first weekends, pushed it back to an opening tonight, and then 4 of the 7 Bancroft children are still sick. So we made the decision that we need our students to get well. And we have students who are coming to school, I think, because of the extracurricular. And that's not a good pressure for them, and it's not a healthy pressure for our environment. So we just made the decision, we're actually going to push that, I think, to April 11th through the 14th. We're going to have a Thursday night, it's going to open on a Thursday night still, a Friday night show, and then 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So it's going to be a busy weekend, and actually on Saturday, French Cafe is squeezed in between. So we'll have an afternoon show at French Cafe and then an evening show. So
a really nice French dinner, and
yes.
then go to the evening.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a dinner theater.
Dinner and
Yes,
show.
yes. So,
Perfect.
thank you.
Excellent.
So just, maybe, could somebody talk about those wonderful banners that are hanging in town?
Yes. So that's Kevin Whitey's class, and so his students researched. They actually started that project, I believe, in the fall, and they did a lot of the research, and then they jumped into their collaborative project that they were doing with the 10th grade team, and then they came back to the banners, and they partnered with the Cincinnati
School of Art.
Cincinnati School of Art, and it was actually an artist in residence opportunity that I think Mario had forwarded to our staff. Just kind of perchance, if you're interested in this, reach out to them. And Kevin Lighty, with that project in mind, reached out to them and they said, yeah. So I think they sent representatives up and worked with our kids in class, and then our kids actually went down to the Cincinnati College of Art and did work there, and then the product was those banners. So it's really cool.
Which are what those products? What are those products?
Just to explain to people.
Oh, yeah, so the products, as you're driving down the streets here downtown, around downtown, if you look on the poles, there are pictures of influential women in Yellow Springs history. So they researched the different, kind of a list of different people, different women, and then they chose the ones who they thought were most influential, and I think there's actually a plan to continue to add to these over time. So really cool representation of our community, and very timely to get them up in March.
Mr. Hurwitz, you want to interject something here?
I want to interject just one important thing that Mr. Lighty did. He used social media in a beautiful way. He reached out to the community to find the names of women in our community throughout history that needed represented, and the list is upwards over 100 women. The students did a great job writing little bios about each of the women as well, and the posters are
fantastic.
Yeah, the banners are amazing.
Are you all going to be writing an article next week, right? Is that right? About it?
They've written.
Yeah.
Oh, they wrote a whole thing.
Supplement.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there'll be a supplement that goes in.
Newspaper.
And I think it gives the bio of each of the women that are represented on the posters. So I think, I'm not sure if, when we did the project tuning, they had discussed putting like a QR code on each poster or down at like the base of the pole, so that you could scan it and you could read the bio of the person that you saw on the poster, but then they were also going to have a supplement in the latest news. So a very cool project.
Yeah.
And that was one, for me, when we think about our Late Start Wednesday work that we do as a district, I sat in the initial tuning for that project. So to see kind of the evolution and growth of that project and then see it come to final product is really exciting. So, very cool.
Great.
And I believe Mr. Lighty also applied for and got funding from YSCE for some of the monetary part of that project.
Yeah. So thank you to YC for that.
You want to see again, and now it's out, now
They
it's
were
out on the street.
fantastic.
Yeah, they're
Fantastic.
and they're wonderful women.
Yeah.
They're-
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now to agenda items 3 and 3.1, 3.2, our treasurer's report and recommendations.
I'm just gonna briefly go over the acceptance of the amounts and rates. It's on the agenda for your approval. This is based on the tax budget that I submitted in January, and gets spit back out is what our rates are going to be for, that tax year, and how much money is anticipated to come in, and then that's what we use to do our budgeting for the year and to make sure that we're not going to spend more than what we are receiving. So, that comes straight from the county auditor. It's nothing that we have any type of input in, but we do have to approve, and I gotta get it back to them.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you for just a moment? If we have to approve this, is this a vote?
That's a vote.
Because I don't,
I missed up.
Don't have a vote.
I don't,
No.
yes, I
That's
just
okay.
wanted to clarify that
Yep,
we do
you'll
have
be
to.
voting on it,
Yep,
please.
got it, okay.
I just want to go over two things in my report. The first one is, over the past couple months, we've had three $250,000 CDs come due. And so I've been talking with my, the investment person I work with at Fifth Third. And, I mean, the rates are not great. We're looking at 2.5% to, if you scroll down a little bit, just to where these numbers are at the bottom, 2.5% to 2.55% to go out through September of 2020. Those are, those are looking like the best rates right now. You can see that they're lower than the ones that are coming due in May of 20. But those were probably, I think I went out 2 years on those, which is probably why they had the higher rate. So the rate is still going up. The next highest rate is 2.65, and that's to go out 7 months longer to March of '21. I just think that would be crazy to go that far out, so I'll probably reinvest those. I'm still even debating investing all of that, because right now, whenever a CD comes due, it gets put back in that money market account that's sitting right there. That's why it's $809,000. That, I can leave that money there, or I can transfer it to where the paragraph above is the Max Saver account, which is also with Fifth Third. They match what's called the Star Ohio Public Funds account, which is doing rather well. I mean, the interest rate for last month was around 2.58%, which is higher than going out another year and a half. So I'm kind of teetering on, I don't want to sock that money away and then have the Max Saver keep earning more than 2.55%.
Right.
So that's something I'm going to talk with him about. He was not very happy about the rates that he gave me. I mean, it's nice when the money is socked away like that, because it's not liquid and can't be spent on other things. We're basically putting it in our savings account. But if the rate's going to be lower than what it is in like a checking account, then there's no sense in socking it away. So the other things I would like you to look at is, if you will scroll down to my graphs. This is what I made a note of in the board reports. I just want to explain in person. Okay, so back up a little bit. I'm going to go through each one basically. Okay, so this is the month-end cash balance. And as you can see that it's going in order of fiscal year. We have 6 fiscal years on there. And our cash balance is rising above, and that's just due to, having some higher income tax collections and having the levy that we put on 6 years ago. So that cash balance has been building up, building up, building up. But when it starts to get into this situation where it's kind of matching the prior year and maybe going below that, is when you really want to start watching what you're doing. So if you scroll down, the revenue graphs can kind of get skewed because it depends on when you get your, twice a year we get our tax money, so sometimes that's going to be way up and sometimes it's going to be way down. But it's still, we're starting to look almost consistently below where we have been in the past. If you go down to expenditures, and there's the monthly expenditures. Now we have a couple of unique situations. I tried to list that out in my report of some of the unique situations that are unique to this year, and will not happen again. But we also have like our 2-year audit cycle. Our audit can cost $20,000–$25,000 in 1 year, and we wouldn't have that the next year. But we were in a 2-year audit 2 years ago, so we were in the same situation. But there's just been other things that have contributed to our expenditures going up, such as we keep talking about legal fees. That's definitely one of them, and just some other situations that we have this year. So it shouldn't look like that. The next year's line will likely be below that line, I would hope. But if it continues to stay up like that, is when you really got to start worrying about your deficit spending, which is the next graph. And that's the one that's concerning me the most, because you can see that even though this is a unique year, we are right now, getting very close to ending. My projection is to end in the deficit spending. The budget modifications that I'm going to have to do to get through the end of the year will probably keep us below the line. We will probably deficit spend this year. Because I think with these, I don't like to do budget revisions, because I think if you set a budget, that's what you're supposed to work within. But we've just had things that have been out of our control and things that could not be anticipated. And I have to change my books to make the auditors happy, to properly show where we spend the money. So when I report to you in July about how the fiscal year ended, I need everything to be where it's supposed to be, to make the auditors happy, and to keep the books clean. So I will bring a budget adjustment to you in April. I really want to go through it and fine tune it. But when I first started here, your graphs would have looked a lot worse than this, because you were already way into deficit spending. So that's why I just think it's very important to talk about this now, because we have got to start planning for that line to go back down under and getting into that deficit spending situation. And I just think it's very important to publicly acknowledge that, to have this information going into negotiations, because, you know, Dawn doesn't have a different set of books. I don't bring a different set of books to negotiations, and this, it's not alarming, it's just time to start being concerned about, you know, where we can save money, what we can spend, how long we wanna make this new money last, things like that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, to the public's attention, just to, it's planning that needs to happen now.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Any questions about that for Dawn? I think that, I appreciate that. I think it was very important to get that information out sooner rather than later. And you can start thinking about it. Okay, so, we will need a motion here to accept item 3.2, the acceptance amounts and rates. So moved. Second. Call the roll then, please.
Steve two.
Yes.
Oh, you
I'm
were
Steve two.
promoted?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry, Steve one.
Yes.
Okay, TJ,
Yes.
Steve two,
Yes.
Aida,
Yes.
Sylvia.
Yes.
Okay, thank you again for that. We'll move on to budget, to agenda item number 4, budgets on the brain, superintendent reports and recommendations.
Okay, so just 3 things I want to talk to you about today. The first is superintendent employment. It's been, I feel like the last month has been, a lot's happened.
What's happening?
In 30 days. So as you know, I applied for the job in Huber Heights, and I accepted a position there that will start August 1st. And so I'm excited about the opportunity for me to really take on a new challenge and the opportunity to be in Huber Heights. It was not an easy decision for me. I want you all to know that. I really enjoy working in the school district where I live. I enjoy the Board of Education and our teachers. I feel like seeing a night like tonight where you saw the kids doing what they did was really fulfilling for me personally, because I think one of the best things about being a superintendent, probably the best thing, is seeing having ideas kind of come out of a process from years and years and years ago, and then being able to see those ideas come to fruition and actually watch that happen with kids is super heartwarming and powerful. It is the best part of the work we do, and I love it. I'm going to really miss that, I think, about Yellow Springs. I'm going to miss the kids a lot. I think just the past 3 days working with them on the interview process was so fun. Hearing, kids say things like asking the candidates, I have a clarifying question for you, or, following up with the candidates and really figuring out when the candidate gave an answer that wasn't so great and giving a follow-up question right on the spot, using their brains and really coming up with some very smart, intelligent questions. And the best compliment they got from the candidates was that was the hardest part of the entire day. It was our kids. And so our students are amazing, and I'm so proud to be a part of their lives for the time I've been able to do that. My wife and I and our kids are planning to stay in Yellow Springs because we think this is a great school district, and because my daughter would kill me if we moved. And Karina loves it here. She's got a great group of friends, and she's doing really well in school right now. And actually, big reason that the teachers are in the room here today. Have a huge impact on my daughter, and I greatly appreciate that. So we're staying. I guess I'll just leave it at that. I'm excited. I think I'm really hard with goodbyes, but we got a lot of time for that.
Yes,
so
we do.
and we got a lot of work to do. I think the last thing I want to say is we have a lot of work to do, and I am 100% fully committed to Yellow Springs schools until August 1st, 2019. And so I'm not taking a day off. I am working every day hard until the end of the year, trying to fulfill our mission to get as much done as we can in the meantime. One of those things we have to do is our principal search. So I think, Don's pointing something out that's important. I think you're supposed to approve my resignation at the board meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
Like motion and appointment?
Yeah, because
It's not-
right now, theoretically, I can withdraw my resignation.
Or we could not accept. I mean, make this work for a
Actually,
while.
once they accept it, I think once they accept it,
Yeah,
it's already accepted.
yeah, it has to be approved on the board agenda, the board meeting.
Oh,
That's
well, I missed that, sorry.
That's what the attorneys say, you know? So,
We'll do it next month.
Yeah. So we can do it tonight.
I'm in no rush.
We get it done by August.
I don't know, it's.
Well, I'm okay working in Huber Heights and getting paid by Yellow Springs. I have no problem with that, you know, if you wanna do that. The second piece is the principal search, and so I just wanna point out that, that's been a great process, that I was talking about just a minute ago. I think for the folks in the community, we started out with a number of candidates, we went through several interviews, that involved the staff members as well as, administrators and students throughout the process, and the community. And I think the final stage was an all-day interview where the final three candidates came at about 7:30 in the morning, set up for an 8 o'clock presentation to the community, then at 8 o'clock presentation to the faculty. The faculty was able to get feedback on that, and then at 9 o'clock, they went straight into a teacher observation for 30 minutes. Had a post-observation conference with that teacher where I was actually observing the principal candidate giving feedback to the teachers. And then they also went and did a parent meeting, a mock parent meeting, where a parent came in and created a scenario based on loosely based, actually very much based, on the famous story of catcalls from the One Acts way back in 2008. And we kind of recreated that. We thought that'd be a really great acid test, if you will, for the candidates we're looking for within the community to see if they really get Yellow Springs and have a good understanding of what we're all about. And so that was a really interesting part of the process. And Sylvia did a great job playing the parent in those meetings. And we further had, in addition, we engaged the faculty with lunch every day, all 3 days, where we had lunch and really free-flowing Q&A. I love the free-flowing part because what happens is it gets the candidates to speak a little bit more freely usually, and you learn a little more about them while you're eating lunch oftentimes, you know. And then we had student questions for 45 minutes, where it was a really formal process. And finally, end of the day with an evening where we went and they presented to the community for half an hour, and then got half an hour of Q&A from the community, and then they left and the community had a good half hour debate and discussion about each of the candidates. And so it was a really powerful process. I think that engaged the community quite a bit in it. And I think after that process today, we had a meeting with faculty and administrators after school, at about 15 individuals there, and we all just tried to build consensus around the candidate. I think I can probably comfortably say publicly that we found, I think, some really good consensus from that meeting. And I talked to the board about that consensus tonight in executive session. And so starting tonight after the board meeting, I'm gonna start working on shoring up the final candidate, and seeing if we can get a contract done deal with that, and maybe have a board approve the contract on that final candidate sometime next week. So that's the goal. I'm not gonna tell you the final candidate, because I can't do that until we have a definite deal ready to go and done. So we're gonna work on it over the next few days, and then inform the other candidates that they did not get the job. I'll make a personal phone call to them, because they've really gone through an extensive process with us. I think it's only the fair way to do it, I think, in this case. And so that's pretty much our entire principal search at this point.
Yeah, and it stayed on schedule, which is good for us, given everything else that's on our schedule. So yeah, it feels a little bit like one of those reality TV shows where you have to swim through the sharks, and then you have to run up the volcano, and then you have to, so I'm glad that we've come to a consensus through this really, I think, very creative process.
Yeah, so I think I was concerned initially that the candidates wouldn't have a hard time at some point to break down during the process. But really,
We're hoping that, really.
they all did pretty good, I think, throughout the entire day and evening, and had the stamina to do the work, so I was really proud of them in that way, and did great. The last item is the School Facilities Task Force, and really, I just actually want to talk about all of these elements that are going on with the facilities. I think there's 3 or 4 topics. So there are actually 4 that we're also juggling at the same time with everything else. So just a quick update on land use assessment. So I'm working with Emily Crow. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication somewhere along the way between she and I, where I thought we sent a contract into her. She didn't get it. And so that's why it's taken us a while. I just
Okay.
talked to her very recently, and we cleared that up. And so she's on vacation right now, but she's gonna call me next week, and we're gonna make sure we get moving more on that work going forward. So that's the land use assessment. We're behind where we wanna be, but I think I'll give you all an update, the week after next. I think probably during spring break, so you have an idea between that, definitely before the next board meeting. The stadium project is progressing along well. The initial report is due next week. This week alone, if anybody's been out there, they've been doing there was a tractor out there, and they're doing some core analysis, so they dug, I don't know how many feet down to the ground to check out the soil and within the track, and then, all of that. And so they're doing a full assessment, and they're supposed to be done and to us by next week. And then we're gonna take that, and that'll tell us how much it's gonna cost to do the whole project. And then from there, we start the bidding process, and they do a lot of that for us, the company does, so it's really great. But we just gotta make sure we know exactly what the problem is, so we can get it right and get the costs right. So we'll have it, I think, I'm fairly confident from these folks. So next month, you should have that report, basically, of the assessment and exactly how much it's gonna cost us to really do what we need to do out there. The facilities assessment, so there's a meeting next Thursday on that with Fanning and Howie to get an update on the work. So they have been in our buildings, and I'm sure that Matt and you all may have seen the odd people kind of running around, going in the building, and some people we don't really know, and assessing the buildings, and they've done a lot of intensive assessment, like to the point where they're looking at technology piece by piece, where it is. It's a much more deeper, detailed assessment than we had done in the past from the OFCC, and so that's gonna be great for us, but the problem is it's probably gonna be also very dense and detailed, so they're gonna need an executive summary that's much more basic for folks to be able to read, if they wanna read it quick. So that, we're meeting next Thursday I think they're waiting to schedule, more educational vision assessment, if you will, or what do we want the facility to look like, or what it's gonna cost to really turn the facility into what we need, and I think that's what we're meeting on next week, so that they understand our vision better, and then they can kind of get a good picture of what that would cost to meet the needs of the 21st century learner. And then I think they also are waiting to schedule a meeting with the school facilities task force, which will be their next step to present their findings to them, so.
Great.
So we'll have a lot more there. And then School Facilities Task Force, Mel Marsh, who was here last month, is leading that work. We have a great committee in place now. Our first meeting starts on Monday. So we're officially getting moving with the School Facilities Task Force. And it's gonna be right here on Monday, trying to remember the time. It'll be 6:30 or 7 o'clock, I don't wanna tell you exactly, but it is an open meeting for the community to come and be a part of. The Yellow Springs News hopefully will come and be a part of that, be able to report on it. We'll be right here in this room, and I think we have about 12 or 13 members, plus the 3 or 4 ex officios. And I confirmed 2 students that are going to be part of that group, including Ian Shirk and Julia Hoff. So these are 2 really powerful students who are great movers and shakers and can really get it done. So we'll have to work around the schedule. I'm sure that's what you're thinking. I think she'll be okay. It's just every 2 weeks on Monday, so we won't, we'll work with theater. She'll play every other week. I know, right now she's really busy. So she'll probably have to end up at the 2nd or 3rd meeting before she can show up. But it's going to be 6 months of meetings and doing that work twice a month. And I think that's it. So what I think we'll have for you at next month is we should have assessments or something tangible in hand around the facilities assessment and the stadium project. And I'll have a much better handle on it, and we should have some parts of the land use assessment done as well. So this is moving.
Yeah, awesome.
Good. It's looking a little slow.
Rolling down the hill. Good. Okay, so then I want to move now to the adoption of our consent calendar, the administrative portion of that, 4.2 and 4.3. Do I have a motion, please?
It's not on there.
How do you wanna do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not on there, you can either do it under the consent calendar personnel, or you can do it like separately now.
Why don't we do it separately
So
now?
we'll just make a motion.
We'll just make a
So I
motion
move that we vote on
to accept.
to accept Mario's resignation from his position as superintendent.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, TJ,
Yes.
Steve, 1, 2. Steve 2.
With reluctance.
Aida,
Yes.
Sylvia,
Yes.
Steve.
All right, now we can move on to 4.2 and 4.9. That's right. Do I have a motion for these, please?
Oh, so moved. Second.
Okay, anything we need to know about?
So the 220 is down from 240 last year, which we estimated. John,
Okay.
I think Don adjusted that based on, I think, the figures, right?
Is it based on like what really it shook out as?
This will be a little closer next year, so.
Good, okay.
Did I have a motion in a second?
Yes,
I'm
we did.
Still writing up.
Sylvia moved.
I moved.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Or did I second? Yeah.
Okay. All right, Steve 2.
Yes.
Aida? Yes. Sylvia?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes. Okay. We'll move on to the adoption of our consent calendar, 4.4 through 4.6. Do I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have anything we need to pull out?
No, but I can comment on something if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just really excited about this, this change in the theater program. Going from a half-time FTE to a full-time FTE, I think is a powerful move for our school district. It doesn't just change the theater program, it really changes, as you see in some of the documents we sent you, instruction in Yellow Springs into the future. I think opening career pathways in the performing arts and the visual arts is going to make a profound difference for our kids, and it will allow potentially opportunities for internships for kids. It'll allow opportunities for kids to really look seriously into careers in the arts, which is an important thing for our community. But I'm really excited, specifically, I know we try not to make decisions based on the individual, but Lori is really a talented and gifted teacher. And I think, just to give you an example, when Jack, I think it was Cameron or Jack, one of them, when they were, remember Cameron, when they were meeting with kids to talk to them about theater arts expanding and potentially being an option going forward, the kids were really excited at the high school about that opportunity. And so this is a great thing for Yellow Springs kids, and I'm excited about it. Do you have anything to add?
No, I'm very excited for Lori as a colleague and a friend, but also for our students. The last couple of years, our middle school students have had theater classes, and then after middle school, there's nothing. So with this change, beginning tomorrow, we will be able to start offering to students an acting and script analysis class, a stagecraft class, and a choir, which is a really exciting addition for our kids. It was when Dave Smith and Shannon Morano were going around and they were presenting kind of the scheduling options to our kids. We weren't sure where this was going, so we presented it as kind of a tentative potential thing. And they would go around the classes and they said, we might do this, and the kids would go, yeah, we should, so they were really into it. So we just got, in our scheduling process, we just got our course request numbers in today. So now this is gonna kind of change all of those a little bit, but I'm really excited to see how many of our students engage in these classes. And I think it's really gonna have an impact, I think, also on some of the College Credit Plus stuff that we do and keeping kids in more of our AP classes. So I think that there will be kind of impacts beyond just the theater side.
Well, and let me add one more thing I didn't say before, is that the concern oftentimes, anytime you increase in FTE, is the expense, right? And so, in this case, we're actually gonna come up revenue positive, because once we do this, we start a CTE program, and we'll be getting $50,000 more a year, quickly, as a result of this change. And so, that's not only gonna help fund this position potentially, but it's also gonna help us pay for teachers to get the 2 necessary classes they need to be able to be CTE certified, which I think is really important if we're gonna ask to change the program.
Yep.
And we'll come out on the plus side revenue-wise after that as well. And so this is really, I think, all around a good deal.
Yeah. Splendid. Other questions about any of this? I think most of this is fairly what we do at this time of the year. So let's call a roll, please.
Steve,
Yes.
let me take this order down. CJ,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. Okay. Board communications, well, and thank you. Thank you.
It's gonna be fun. Thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity. The kids,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see the kids have a forward pathway.
Yeah.
Come see Sound of Mucus. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
right, exactly. Mr. McQueen, do we have anything from the GCCC?
Yeah, there was a new security officer hired. His name is David Williams. He's only a retired officer. Basically, they were, with what happened in Xenia, they were nervous because of where GCCC is located now. Even though there's a training facility right there, technically they're still not able to be on call, so they would still have to use the sheriff's department, which is miles away, 6 miles. And so they were basically voted to have a new officer be there right on campus. And we got to meet him yesterday. And he seems excited. And he seems genuine and very caring kind of individual. We're excited about it. Yeah, and then of course everything is all about new sites. I guess the heavy rains and the wetness has made it very difficult to build. So things are being pushed back, not far, but enough that it's things may need to be reworked out because it's getting like that over there. And it's hard to get in and out. They need boulders to push trucks, or bulldozers to push trucks to get places. It's that bad right now. So they're, so things are getting pushed back there. And then Career X spoke, which is an interesting new thing that they're doing, which is based on IEPs as well as there was another one they used. I never even heard of it, ETRs. However, but basically they weren't being addressed, and that with our new superintendent, new as in 5 years, but within that time, has been able to not only address it but raise all of the issues that came. They now have a driving simulator, and is not going to get a second one. I got to use it yesterday at the meeting, which
No
is
way.
really cool. Yeah. It's just driving though, so it's the most fun game I've ever played. But it's really interesting. I guess we've been able to get 8 temporary licenses and 1 full-time license from kids who would not normally have even attempted. So it's been extremely valid, and I guess a lot of other kids without disabilities have been asking if they could work with it, and they are allowing it. So, but they have to go through the same process, which is everything through the DMV first, everything through the simulator, then everything with the simulator. So they have to do exactly the same thing with no process, but they could use it if they do that. And then beyond that, no, that was want to make sure nothing too new. No, those were the main ones. I asked about sickness. I guess Northridge today had to have another school that had to have a calamity day due to sickness. Nowhere else had ever heard of it, but they announced it yesterday that they were going to do that today. Northridge, Dayton, not Northridge, Springfield, just in case. I was confused, but I didn't know there were 2. And an interesting program that they installed securely. I never heard of this, but it is a protection. Yeah, gotcha. I've never heard about it, but basically through Google Chrome, I think it can be through any sort of actual search, but schools can have it, and it pings any sort of things written about suicide, bullying, shooting, it paves the school, and so well before, if they search it, write about it, anything along those lines, could be alerted, and I guess it's already helped one kid, paint something suicidal, and it turns out it was under the, with the wanting to know the knowledge of how they could actually go through with it. So it's already helped one person, and they said it pays for itself just because of that.
It's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, we
Sounds
get
good.
it, we get those great messages, we got one, I think that was for the Christmas break, it was like Saturday morning. You probably weren't awake, you were out of town, so I called parents.
Yeah. Great. Other board member items that we want to share here at the end? Well, we could attempt to say, I feel like it sort of turns into a circus when we do this.
Okay.
But do we want to?
I mean, if we're trying for next week, right?
You can just do a real quick 30-minute morning meeting if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, morning, okay. Well, we have the, we try to attach,
To attach.
don't we have, something like K-12? And also the next week?
Not next week.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's next month.
So we could try, yes, how do people feel about first thing Monday morning? Can't make it. Is that all mornings?
No, the 18th and 20th, next Monday is Monday. Monday and Wednesday, I'll be on reserve duty, so it's gonna be in the office.
Do you get out? Like we did in the evening on Monday.
Yeah, and I teach on Monday night.
You teach on Monday night.
So it's
Oh,
over.
You can do Tuesday morning though?
I could do Tuesday morning.
What time?
well, I mean, can you do as early, I mean, 8 o'clock?
You're
Sure.
booked Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm down on Tuesday, so what about Thursday?
See, this is what I'm talking
No,
about.
but we're getting there, what about Thursday?
So I'm sorry now,
Is this
Thursday,
bad, kicking it down to
Thursday the 21st?
Yes,
Yeah,
8 a.m.
I could do 8 AM Thursday the 21st. Yes?
okay.
Yeah. Coffee? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right,
calling
8
that-
AM Thursday the 21st.
What are we calling that?
We're meeting,
Hopefully principal.
Special meeting.
special meeting.
Okay, special,
Okay,
So I guess the other board items are, thank you, board, because there has been a lot going on, there's going to be a lot going on, and I appreciate my colleagues here who have jumped in, when needed and when necessary, because everybody was involved in the principal search, and everybody's been
Yeah.
on top of recognizing that there's a lot happening, so I want to appreciate you all, and appreciate us as a working group.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank
This
you
is
all
very
so
difficult.
much.
This has
Thank-
really
yeah.
been
A lot of
difficult
balls in the
and
air.
will be difficult, so.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody's.
definitely.
thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.